Greetings, everyone. This is Hong Long from Hong Long Wuxia, and today is another edition of Mail Call. And right here we got us a package. It is. By the title of the video, you should be able to guess that it's a book by David King. And if you were to make that guess, you would be absolutely correct. So while I open this, let me mention real quick that the last time I had a Marcus Garvey pamphlet. I sent him an email, and 2 days later, I had 2 copies of it. Not just great books, but great customer service. All right, so this one is a bit harder to get open than this one. I might have to get my sword out. Wow. There we go. It's double wrapped for protection. All right. And what book did we get? We got The Commissar Also Vanishes. You can see basically what the idea is there. The original picture, and after Stalin got busy with one, the next version of the picture got rid of another one, and then eventually it's only good old Joe. Piece of shit, old Joe. Excuse my language. All right. So, who was David King? King was a graphic designer, a photographer, an illustrator, an archivist, researcher, editor, a historian, as well as an art collector and a writer. Who was David King? According to Wikipedia, David King was born on April 30th, 1943, and he died on the 11th of May, 2016. He was a British graphic designer, design historian, and writer who assembled one of the largest collections of Soviet graphics and photographs. From his collection, he created a series of books covering the history of the Russian Revolution and its associated art and propaganda. In addition to Soviet-era photographs, posters, and other materials, his collection included items related to the Spanish Civil War, Maoist China, the Weimar Republic, and American labor organizations. King, a leftist with Trotskyist leanings, in particular, I put that whole bit in quotes. In particular, collected photographs and ephemeral related to Leon Trotsky, who was extensively doctored out of revolutionary photographs and records under Joseph Stalin's regime. King worked at the Sunday Times magazine as a designer and arts editor. His design work also extended to album covers for artists like Jimi Hendrix, book covers, radical and progressive publishers, including Allison and Busby and Earthscan publications, and graphics for political causes he supported, such as the anti-apartheid movement. He is the creator of the anti-Nazi League's red and yellow logo. King described his work as an attempt to create visual style for the left. David once said, "Even as a child, I detested capitalism. I thought it was unfair. I also loathed religion and the monarchy. I found the clothes they dressed up in sinister and frightening. When my uncle, who was a socialist, taught me about the true nature of the ruling class, I agreed with him that it clearly had to be overthrown. I used to dream, like all children, how life would be like in the 21st century. If anyone had told me that there would still be inequality, racism, kings, queens, and religious maniacs stalking the planet, I would have considered them crazy." David North, who's the chairman of the World Socialist Website's International Editorial Board, stated in his May 14, 2016 obituary of David King that during the early 1970s, in the course of his research on the Trotsky biography, David traveled to New York in search of photos and documents. He contacted the Socialist Workers' Party and asked for an appointment with Hansen, who had served as Trotsky's secretary in Mexico between 1937 and 1940. And by the way, at this point, Hansen was the was the leader of the Socialist Workers' Party. David imagined that the meeting would yield a wealth of information and insights into Trotsky's personality, but the interview had hardly begun before Hansen, who, as I just stated, was the head of the Socialist Workers' Party, asked, "Why do you want to write about Trotsky?" Taken aback by the tone with which the question had been asked, King began to explain why he thought that Trotsky was a major historical figure whose legacy was a critical part of the fight for the future victory of socialism. "The future," Hansen replied. "Given the state of the environment, the planet probably won't exist in 20 years. The interview was quickly ended as David recalled this exchange nearly 50 years later. His amazement at Hansen's remark had still not worn off, as as it shouldn't by anybody who was talking to who they thought was supposed to be representing the continuity of Trotskyism. Just, I mean, the proof that Hansen was a police spy is there for all to see. If you want to have more information, comment down below, and I will provide some of the documentary evidence for that. Right. David Walsh also did wrote a note on the death of David King in May of 2016, and he wrote about David King, and like many serious artists, he treated his own formal accomplishments, which others often highlighted and praised, with a certain amount of indifference. "I'm interested in content far more than I am in form. You develop a visual style as you would develop a handwriting one, and when you've done that, you can almost forget about it. The content of your work, assuming one has any interests at all, is what one should concentrate on," he told interviewer Christopher Wilson in 2003. "The artist thinks in images," asserted the 19th century Russian critic Belinsky. "He or she does not prove the truth, but shows it." According to Belinsky, there is a profound grain of truth in this. However, what made King so exceptional was that he both showed and proved the truth. He produced extraordinary imagery and explained its significance. David King took upon himself the lifelong task of showing the truth of the Russian Revolution in visual imagery. As he explained to Woodhuizen in 1984, "I'm obviously obsessed with Soviet politics, but it all started with the need to disseminate information visually. There have been thousands of words written on the Soviet Union. E.H. Carr alone wrote 13 volumes on the subject. I wanted to visualize the words." All right, I've included the links to those two pieces in the description down below. I've also put a couple of other links to some other articles regarding David King. One on the falsification of his work by the Tate Modern shortly after his death. I posted another one with an interview with the creator of this website right here. He wrote a book on a biography on David King, and this website is he's using this website as an addition or a supplement to the biography that I wrote. The homepage of this web page contains a quote from Mark Porter from I Magazine. That states, "At a time when the world is confronting immense challenges and much graphic design has become a matter of pure visual styling, David King's work is a reminder that design can engage with important themes and be driven by a passionate desire to make the world a better place." The website also, it includes this page right here, which includes all his books on Trotsky. I didn't know about this one. I'm really interested. Well, I'm interested in all of these, but this intrigues me. I Am King, photographic biography of Muhammad Ali. Blood and Laughter, a caricature from the 1905 Revolution with Kathy Porter. I don't know if she's related to the guy who's running the I Magazine. Also, The Great Purges with Isaac Deutscher, who, if you don't know, wrote The Prophet Outcasts, or The Prophet Outcasts, and 2 other volumes on Leon Trotsky, a biography. And then this one is Trotsky, a photographic biography by David King. This is the one that I have. The Commissar Vanishes. There's some blacking out going on there. I'll flip through some of these pages as soon as I go through some of this stuff here. Ordinary citizens, the victims of Stalin. I believe this is just photos of people. If I'm not mistaken, this is just photos of people who were soon to be killed, like within some cases, like right before they were to be shot. This is like considered his masterpiece, The Red Star over Russia. This was the first book I'd heard of from him, and it's a really amazing piece of work. Russian revolutionary posters, and his final work was with Ernst Vollen, John Hartfield. Laughter is a devastating weapon. Also on the website here, we have a collection of his political posters. These are just some of the ones that they didn't have room to put in the biography that they wrote. As you can see, they cover a lot of different topics. There's a lot going on with there are a lot of posters that deal with South Africa and Zimbabwe. Never again, stop the National Front, British Nazi party essentially. Socialist Workers' Party is a state capitalist group in Britain who claim to be Trotskyists. Well, they don't anymore. I think they've finally ditched all that baggage in the course of the last 20 years, but even at this time, they weren't Trotskyists. Well, this isn't South Africa, Eritrea. Who killed Blair Peach? I'm not familiar with that campaign. No Tory sellout in Zimbabwe. Solidarity with ANC freedom fighters. He was very heavily involved in the anti-apartheid movement. All right, let's take a gander at some of the photos in this book here. I'm going to say that's Trotsky who's been wiped out. And not just there's a number of these. Here's another picture of the disappearing commissar. And then on the next version, not only have people been removed, but new people have been added. And this is something that was going on in everything, literally. I mean, these are only a few examples, but they had a whole industry that was going through all political material, and I mean. That's one of the reasons his work is so remarkable. He was able to collect all of this information because a lot of it was exterminated or was eliminated. There was one story, I think it might have been in one of the articles that I've posted down below. He would trade duplicates and triplicates of things he already had so that he could complete his collection. And this worked not only to cloud the truth to people in the Soviet Union at the time, but the fellow travelers of the Soviet Union were very very large and a vocal group. The video that I'm going to do on the Hollywood blacklist, I mean, most of those people who were even in the Communist Party were not what you would actually consider to be a communist. There was no. Most of them were anti-fascists. They had no conception of what Marxism was, and a lot of this had to do with the falsification of not only Marxist theory, but of the history of the Bolshevik Revolution in the Soviet Union. And these falsifications were taught to people, not just in the Soviet Union, but to members of the Comintern all around the world, and that was disseminated widely. The only people speaking out against this was the small band of Trotskyists who rallied around the banner of the Fourth International. Here's an interesting photo. This one, Trotsky standing at the podium. And in the later picture, Trotsky eliminated. Oh, come on. Get this to work. There we go. In the later photo, Trotsky eliminated and replaced by Lenin. And Lenin, who was sitting at the, if you look over here, Lenin, who was right there, is now up there giving the speech. And Lenin is replaced by statues. Anyway, those are just a few of the examples from the book. I cannot recommend the book, The Commissar Vanishes, or the author, Mr. David King, highly enough. If you have a chance, go pick up this volume. I would also highly recommend any of his books, especially Red Star Over Russia. All right, everybody, this has been Hong Long Wuxia. As always, if you like the video, hit that button down below. And if you didn't like it, hit that button down below. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, keep reading.